After a weekend of intensified protests, unrest in Paris still rages on. Ambulance blockaded roads on Monday. Their drivers angry about President Emmanuel Macron's overhaul of the country's healthcare system.
The impact for some ambulance companies is a loss of between 30 and 70% in revenue. The impact is enormous, and 80% of ambulance companies are at risk of closing down. That's unacceptable. We've had 3 demonstrations. 3 times we've given our demands. 3 times we haven't been heard.
High school students also gathered on Monday to protest Macron's economic reforms. Meanwhile, the president held talks with opposition leaders in an attempt to find a way to diffuse the widespread anger, after the country teetered on the edge of declaring a state of emergency over the weekend.
It's quite tragic to see that, that's for sure. But unfortunately, I think it's currently the only way to communicate with the government.
The Yellow Vest protests have been going on for 3 weeks now. Diesel tax hikes and the high cost of living, the main issues fueling what's being described as France's worst unrest since 1968. Critics believe the reforms favour the rich and big businesses. The unrest is hurting the economy too, with hotels and retailers suffering. Total said some of its filling stations were running dry after protesters blocked supply routes across France. Macron has offered to talk with representatives of the protesters ahead of the next round of fuel tax hikes due in January. But he also insists he won't be bounced into changing policy by thugs. Looking ahead to next year, Macron's chances in the European elections could be affected. The anti-establishment anger in the country potentially paving the way for Marine Le Pen's far right to capitalise at the ballot box.